Hey, you awesome human beings. Welcome back to my podcast. This week in this episode, I'm going to be running through how we're going to help a client who's just signed up with us. A guy by the name of Jesse who runs an excavation business out of Canada. Really smart guy, super switched on, runs a brilliant business. But he came to us because he was dealing with a little bit of anxiety, a little bit of stress, a little bit of low energy, but most importantly, low confidence. And his low confidence and lack of belief in himself was affecting his business. He wasn't doing the things that he needed to do. He was giving up a whole heap of money. And he's got summer coming around in Canada, which is a really big season for him. And if he doesn't show up, he's going to cost himself a hell of a lot of business, a hell of a lot of money, and a hell of a lot of reputation. So he's come to us to fix it. So what I'm going to do in this episode is I'm going to run you guys through exactly how we help guys fix their confidence so that they can actually succeed and do really well in business. Now, I've seen hundreds of guys who came to me for issues, for help with issues around confidence in business. We see this all the time. Now, this will be relevant to you if, number one, you ever doubt yourself with business. If you ever find yourself not going for a bigger contract, if you ever find yourself wanting to play it small, not wanting to go big, not wanting to really push the boundaries and test your limits and see where you can get yourself, if you ever find that you shy away from opportunities, if you ever find yourself making yourself smaller, do you know what I mean by making yourself smaller, by the way? What I'm referring to is when we make ourselves smaller, it means that we won't put ourselves out on and advertise what we do. We won't be comfortable with having our names on Facebook. We don't want to post ourselves. We don't want to put ourselves out for the world to see. And we don't want to put our business out there for the world so that they can buy from us, right? Diminishing ourselves, making ourselves smaller, reducing our opportunities, which inevitably reduces our ability to make money and reduces our ability to provide for our families. Okay, so that is this video is going to be for you if any of that sounds familiar. Okay, so what I'm going to run through first of all are some of the really common things that a lot of people do when they are suffering from low confidence or low self-esteem and they're trying to fix it, right? Because there's a couple of things in here, I see it all the time and it just does not work. The first thing that most people do, and I've been an offender of this too, I'm not judging you guys, but most of us do this. Whenever we're not feeling confident about something, whenever we're doubting ourselves or we feel that we're lacking, we'll shrink back down. I already mentioned this before. We'll stop taking bigger opportunities, we'll stop trying to grow our businesses, we'll stop trying to push to the next level because where we'll be comfortable is back a little bit. So let's say you've got a business that's doing $1 million and you're pretty comfortable at $1 million a year. You're making decent money, you're pretty happy, like things are going good. But for you to get up to the next league, which is really $5 to $10 million, you got to push a whole heap. And maybe you've tried and maybe you've failed a few times. So instead of continually going and learning and how can I get bigger? How can I bring in more clients? How can I make it so that I'm going to get more customers, make more money? You just shrink back down to the $1 million mark and you don't want to push anymore just purely because you doubt your ability to A, be able to provide the product at that level instead of figuring out how you can provide the product at that level, or B, your ability to actually just be successful at whatnot. You feel kind of overwhelmed. You shrink back down to being to where you're comfortable. This is a really common thing. It's very common in self-sabotage. A lot of guys, and I see this all the time. Have you ever been to school? Remember at school, there's that guy that had the comb over on his head, he covered his face, he always walked with his head down and his shoulders up trying not to be seen, right? If you are shrinking away from growing your business or achieving your career, you're effectively doing, that's the high school equivalent. The old comb over the face, head down, shoulders up, that's what you're doing, okay? Now, it will make you safe because you're going to be comfortable at making $1 million a year. You're going to be comfortable at this level where you're at the moment, but you're not going to get growth. And when you're old and grey and smelly and your skin's falling off and you're sitting in your hospital bed and you've got something which is breathing for you and you've got tubes up your ass, down your cock, up your nose, down your throat, right? You've got tubes everywhere and that's keeping you alive. Do you want to look back and say, oh, I was really glad that I diminished myself and made myself smaller than what I could have been? Or do you want to look back and say, hell yeah, I tried everything, I threw everything at this life, I failed sometimes, but I won more than I failed. Which way do you want to be? And that's going to be the problem with shrinking down to where you're comfortable, right? The next one after this, and I see this, you'll see this over social media all the time. Fake it till you make it. A lot of guys, when they're not confident, they'll go and they'll say, they'll fake it, they'll act like they're where they want to be. They'll talk a really big game on the exterior, but inside they feel like a piece of crap, right? And they are not confident in their beliefs to grow their business to the next level. They're not confident in their ability to fulfill They just keep saying, fake it till you make it, fake it till you make it. And some people do well out of this, but I guarantee every single person that fakes it till they make it, they end up with imposter syndrome. Do you know what I mean by imposter syndrome? Imposter syndrome is when you don't feel worthy of the success that you're having, or you're constantly doubting yourself on the inside. Whenever you fake it till you make it, you're effectively lying to yourself. And funnily enough, lying to yourself all the time isn't the best way to boost your confidence, because you know when you look in the mirror that you are a fake. You're a fraud. You're not real. Faking it till you make it is not the solution for low confidence, right? In fact, radical authenticity is. There's a brilliant poem. I want you to go Google it now. Right? It's called The Man in the Mirror. And it pretty much comes down to, in the end of the day, you can fool the whole world. You can fool anyone that you're amazing. But in the end of the day, if you look at yourself in the mirror and the man that's looking back at you says you're a bum, what have you won? Absolutely nothing. Okay, so never fake it till you make it if you're not feeling confident. Next one after this. A lot of guys numb this stuff with drugs and alcohol. Who's ever heard of Dutch courage? Have you ever heard of this before? Where you're out and you want to go talk to a girl. So what you do is you go smash a drink, you smash 5, and then you go talk to her afterwards and you let the alcohol do the talking. A lot of guys do this with alcohol, drugs, in particular cocaine, and sometimes ice, but more often cocaine. It's mostly cocaine and alcohol from what I see, is where you're using these drugs to kind of numb yourself to that self-doubt, to that niggling feeling right here that just sits there. You know what I'm talking about? That niggling feeling that you're not good enough. If you're pissed enough or you're high enough, that feeling goes away and you charge on forwards. Now, I think we can all probably agree that that's not the best way to deal with it. Why? Number one, you're not dealing with the root of the issue. Number two is you're going to create a whole heap of side issues afterwards. Because every time you take those drugs, every time you do that alcohol, you drink that alcohol, you're impacting your nervous system and your neurotransmitters, which is going to make you way, way worse off in the long run. So you're going to be thinking right now, okay, James, well, I know what not to do. I don't shrink back down to where it's comfortable. I don't fake it till I make it. I don't drink, or I shouldn't drink or do drugs. What should I do? Here's what you need to do. And this is exactly what we're going to be doing for Jesse. And this is exactly what we do for every single guy who comes to us, who has issues with confidence and is holding him back from being as successful as what he'd like to be. All right? The first thing, step number 1, micro wins. If you are low in confidence, it's because you're not going to be either A, realizing your wins and acknowledging your wins, or B, you're not getting enough wins. You're copying a few losses. Whenever we lose in life, and we've all had losses, it takes the wind out of your sails and you don't feel good. Why? Well, let's think about it this way. Let's think about it from an evolutionary perspective. This is how I always want to come back to. The reason being is because if you look at things from an evolutionary perspective, you understand them, you know why they're happening, and then it all makes sense, right? So the first thing we've got to look at is, okay, if you're doing a certain behavior and it's resulting in you not getting what you want. So let's go back to the age of saber-toothed tigers and cavemen. If you are going out and you're throwing stones at deer and you're not ending up killing that deer, do you think it would be a good thing for you to be confident and say, you know what, I'm going to get it? It just is going to take 1,000 more stones, but I'll kill one deer eventually? Or would it be better for you to say, that's really dumb. This is never going to work. Let's try something else, right? So of course, if you're losing and you're throwing stones at that deer and it's not killing that deer and you're continually losing, it makes sense for you to not have confidence in that or in your ability to do so. Because if you do have confidence in it when you're incompetent, then what's going to happen is you're going to continually make the same mistakes over and over and over again. What we need to do is we need to take this same theory, we need to apply it to our modern life. And what we need to do is when we have low confidence, we need to acknowledge because we've made some losses. And what's ended up happening is as we've made these losses, instead of blaming our methodology of the throwing the stones was a stupid idea, we're saying, I'm not good enough. So what we need to do, first of all, is we need to prove to ourselves that we are actually good enough. It's very, very simple. We need to make micro wins every single day. Micro wins are just small little wins that add up over time. When we first start working with someone, we'll always make sure they start drinking water, right? They get an appropriate amount of water in every single day. Why? First of all, because you feel great, you're hydrated, you feel good, you're generally going to be more confident anyway. But most importantly, because it's really freaking easy to do. Anyone can drink water. You just got to have a bit of a crack at it, right? That's the first thing. The second thing that we do is we have a set routine depending on each person, depending on what the client needs. We make sure they have a routine that they go through every morning and every evening. And what you can do is you can just tick off 5 little wins. You can do something as stupid and small as making your bed. Do you make your bed at the moment? I know for sure that whenever I make my bed, I'm not a very good bed maker. But if I've had a string of losses, I immediately go back to making my bed every day, because that means the first thing that I do in every single morning is a win. I've ticked something off. When you get a little win and you complete a task that you knew you were meant to do, you achieve an objective, you get a little boost of dopamine. And guess what happens when we get a boost of dopamine? We get more motivation. Guess what happens when we get more motivation? We do more stuff. We do more stuff, we get more wins, we get more confident. So the first thing is, let's get the ball rolling with some micro wins, right? As you accumulate these micro wins over time, they'll get bigger and bigger and bigger. Let's use weight loss as an example, right? Because everyone here we've all tried to lose weight at some stage, right? If you go and you're trying to lose 30 kilos immediately, or you're trying to get to 6% body fat and shredded the first time ever, you're probably not going to feel very confident with doing that. But if you're like, hey, I just want to lose 100 grams, cool. You knock off that first 100 grams. Oh, cool, I want to lose another 100. Cool, you knock that one off, then 150, and then 200, and then 300, and so on and so forth. You slowly accumulate it over time. That is the whole idea behind micro-wins, right? The next thing, whenever we have low confidence, whenever we have self-doubt, whenever there's that little voice in the back of our head saying, you can't do it, James, you're going to fail, you're not good enough for this. Every single time anxiety is involved. Every single time. I have not seen anybody ever who has had low self-confidence or low belief in themselves that doesn't have an issue with anxiety. So what we need to do is we need to solve that. Why is the anxiety there? Every single time the anxiety is there because of the nervous system. The nervous system controls every single thought, feeling, mood, action, reaction that there is within the whole entire body. When I'm talking about the nervous system, I'm referring specifically to the autonomic nervous system, the rest and digest, or the fight or flight, or the parasympathetic nervous system and the sympathetic nervous system, okay? What we need to do to fix anxiety is we need to fix this nervous system and get it right. Anxiety is characterized by an increased circulating levels of adrenaline, too much cortisol, and a reduction in testosterone. They're the 3 most common things that I see in every single guy that I coach whenever they have issues with anxiety. So we need to fix them. How? Fix the nervous system. How do we fix the nervous system? The most important thing that we need to do is we need to look at 2 factors, right? Number 1, what are the stresses coming in? Number 2, how are we dealing with those stresses and getting them out? So stress input versus stress output. We need to make sure that we're limiting the number of stresses which are coming into our mind and into our body, and we need to maximize our ability to detoxify these stresses and excrete them from the body. Does that make sense? What I'm going to focus on in this video is the getting rid of the stresses, okay? When it comes to getting rid of stresses, we need to have a method to get all of the day's rubbish out from us. It's very, very common in business owners for us to be inundated with a large amount of stress input. Why? Because you've got employees, because you've got team members you need to look after, you've got people who are screwing up and making mistakes, you've got 1,000,001 problems. It often feels like whenever you take 2 steps forwards, you get 1 step back. And then on top of that too, us being business owners, we're type A personalities, we're high performing human beings. And that's not just for business owners, this is for anybody in a leadership position. Anybody in a leadership position is generally going to be a type A or very, very close to type A personality who wants to continually strive for more. And whenever you get a small amount of achievement, it's not enough. Whenever you hit that next goal, it's not enough. And so you're constantly going and going and going, and you want more. And this drives A, growth, but also B, stress, which if not looked after well, can lead to anxiety. So what we need to do is we need to channel this away, right? We need to find a way to get rid of it. And this is where every single person should have a nervous system management protocol consisting of, number 1, supplementation to help us. The purpose of supplementation is to supplement the lifestyle protocols we have which are looking after our nervous system. But number 1, supplementation is really important. Things like lion's mane, reishi, rhodiola rosea, they are the game changers, right? Next thing after that, in terms of lifestyle protocols, we need to make sure that we're setting aside adequate time for rest and recovery, adequate time for socializing and spending time with those that we love. And then most importantly, we need to be in alignment with our purpose. If you are doing things for the sake of doing them, if you don't have any direction in life, if you don't know what you want to achieve, you're going to have a really, really tough time being calm. I've had this multiple times over personally, right? The times in life where I'm the most anxious is when I don't know what I'm working towards. At the moment, I have it really easy. I've got a beautiful daughter. I've got an incredible wife. I'm really blessed with the people around me. And my whole life, my whole purpose is providing for them, caring for them, looking after them. At the same time, looking after my team and training and developing my team. Like, that is my purpose in life, and it's very clear. But when I don't have something like that, like before I had my beautiful little daughter, before I was married to my wife, before I had my team, there were a lot of times where I felt very anxious because I didn't know where I was going. I was making a hell of a lot of money, but what's the purpose? What's the point? Like, what does this actually matter? There's only so many business class flights where it's actually exciting. There's only so many nice cars that you drive where you actually enjoy it. What is the real reason? Why am I here? You start getting quite existential. What we need to do is we need to figure out your purpose and make sure that you know what your purpose is, what you're living for, because when you do that, that anxiety will go away and your confidence will be through the roof. Okay? The third thing, sleep. You need to sleep better. If you are not sleeping well, your life is just immediately going to be on hard mode. It is going to be incredibly difficult. I'll put it to you this way. Have you ever had a terrible night's sleep and thought, wow, I feel amazing and refreshed? No, of course you haven't. Have you ever had a terrible night's sleep and woke up a little bit jittery? Have you ever felt a little bit off? Have you ever noticed that your brain starts running and starts thinking a lot? You start getting a bit brain foggy, everything's a little bit cloudy, everything's a bit frustrating and not clear. You know what I'm talking about, right? All because you don't sleep well. So you just need to fix your sleep. There are two things that we need to fix with your sleep. Number one, duration. Number two, quality. First one, duration. How much sleep you're actually getting and how much time you're setting aside for it. I don't have my phone here. That's actually really funny that I put into it. I was about to pull out my phone and say, who spends too much time on this thing right before bed? If you're scrolling on your phone before bed, if you're scrolling on your phone throughout the night, if you wake up and touch your phone, you're doing it wrong, you're harming your sleep duration. I don't even keep my phone on me because it's such a freaking distraction, right? The phones are designed to be addictive, and these things are going to steal your attention from sleep and put it onto your phone. Have you ever seen the movie The Social Dilemma? It's a movie, it's a Netflix special series, whatever, right? It's on Netflix. Great, really interesting. What it does, it discusses the impact of social media and your phone, how it is literally designed to make you addicted to spend as much time as possible on social media because that's how they make money out of you. These bastards are stealing your sleep because instead of you sleeping as you should be, you're on there scrolling. You're looking at stuff. So get rid of that phone. That is the easiest thing to increase your sleep duration. The next thing after that is increase your sleep quality. The easiest way to increase your sleep quality, step number one, fix your nervous system. Everything I just mentioned before when I was talking about anxiety. Make sure that you're looking after that nervous system. Number two, make sure that you're not getting too much blue light before bed. What I mean by blue light, screens on your phone. Get rid of it. On your TV, even the lights in your ceiling. Try this. Have you ever been camping before? Right? Have you ever noticed when you're going camping, you've been somewhere without lots of light, as soon as it gets dark, you get really sleepy? And then you notice you sleep really well all that night because it's freaking dark. There's no stimulation. There's no light. Yeah? You know what I'm talking about? Whenever you remove blue light, you'll sleep much deeper. There's several reasons for it, one of which being melatonin. Melatonin is the sleep hormone. It regulates what's called our sleep-wake cycle. When we go to sleep versus when we wake up. Every single time you look at a screen, every time you look at blue light, it delays the production of melatonin in your brain. Why? Well, let's think about it. The way that the human body is meant to work is that when we see sun, we're meant to wake up. So back in the day when we were living in our caves, the sun comes up in the morning, sun comes into our eyes and it sits on our skin, melatonin starts being shut down. And that starts leading us to wake up. And so we get a little burst of energy in the morning, right? Now, when you're doing that on your phone, you're getting the same blue light coming into your eyes, your body's still sensing that, and it tells you to wake up, even though it's 10, 11, 12, 1 o'clock at night. Does that make sense? So get rid of the blue light, okay? That's exactly what you need to do. Quick recap, okay? The things that are not going to help you to fix your confidence so that you can crush it in business. Number one, shrinking back down to where you're comfortable. Scrap that. Terrible idea. When you look back in your life, I guarantee you'll regret it. Why? Because I've coached people who've done that. Number two, fake it till you make it. Stupid idea. Terrible. Do not fake it till you make it. Always be 100% authentic with yourself. Number three, drugs or alcohol. Yes, they're fun. I won't deny that, but they're not good in the long term, right? In the long term, you will lose. We've all seen enough drug addicts and enough alcoholics in order to understand that. What should you do? Number one, micro wins. Number two, fix your anxiety, get on top of that by using the nervous system. Number 3, improve your sleep, get better duration and get better quality. Okay? Now, if you would like to fix your confidence and you want to get to a stage where you have 110% belief in yourself so that you can actually crush it in your business, so that you can double it, triple it, quadruple it, quintuple it, or more importantly, so that you can actually achieve what you want in your business. You can live the lifestyle that you want. You can be a great example for your kids. You can be an incredible husband and partner. If you can be the man that you want to be and actually get the life that you want, you should consider booking in a game plan call. What we do in the game plan call is exactly what we did for Jesse, is we go through and we map out exactly right now what is going wrong in your life and what is holding you back. What are the mindset and mental attitudes you have that are holding you back from being as confident as what you'd like to be? What are the biological things, the physiological, the physical things that are going on right now within your nervous system, within your hormones, within your digestive system, which are making you less confident, which are making you anxious, which are making you stressed? And then make sure that we have a game plan for you to fix these so that you can actually be the man, the business owner, the provider that you actually want to be, so that you can look back on your life when you're old and grey and smelly and about to take that last breath and have precisely 0 regrets whatsoever. If that sounds good to you, if that sounds like something you would like, if you want to have that crystal clear clarity, if you want to have a plan on how to get forwards and you want to be able to crush this confidence, crush this anxiety, crush this stress, get your energy back, get your mojo back, click on the link down below, book in a game plan call. We'll run you through the whole call and we'll set up a game plan to make you absolutely dominate. Okay? On that note, guys, I'll leave you to it. I hope this episode was helpful. Schedule in a game plan call if you haven't already. Let's dominate.